Good evening, everybody. This is an evening show. We record it during the week, so I have to make sure I'm not saying good afternoon. It's good evening. It's currently Tuesday night for us right now. This will be airing on Sunday, but you are tuned in to Crunch Time with Mac and Solo. Again, I'm not sure where Solo is. This guy
Whose house? Rams house, baby.
Rams house. My man is very excited because his Rams got a big dub this week. We're going to get into that and some more on Crunch Time. How you doing this week, man? Are you excited? It's Thanksgiving week, or now it's post-Thanksgiving. Are you thinking about that big turkey belly that you will have starting Thursday?
Yes, absolutely. I hope... Oh, I guess I'm not in the camera. Excuse me. I hope that everyone has some big turkey bellies and they indulged in many Thanksgiving foods.
Exactly. I hope you got some potatoes, some stuffing, some turkey, maybe some roast beef, some ham. I don't know what you're into.
Mac and cheese is underrated on Thanksgiving.
I'm really looking forward to watching some Thanksgiving football. I know the Lions are playing. I believe Jack Harlow is the halftime show. That's going to be very exciting for everyone out there watching Jack Harlow, those Jack Harlow fans. If you're not throwing the pigskin outside, then I hope you're watching someone throw the pigskin inside with your family. Why don't you, let's start off the show with something nice. Tell me something that you're thankful for.
Definitely family.
Family, of course, man.
They've been there with me every step of the way, just giving me immense amounts of support throughout my entire school life.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah, what about you?
For me, I'd probably say family. I'm just very thankful for them. I'm going to be at home in Georgia while this is airing, but I really miss my mom, my dad, my grandmother a bunch, and my dogs, of course, Miles, Merc, and Gaddy. So shout out to them. But we do you have a big Thanksgiving function every year? For my family, we invite I want to say 40 people over. We do huge buffet style. We own restaurants, so we have restaurant warmers and chafing pans and stuff like that. And then after everyone eats, we go and we have a football game, a soccer game, and sometimes we play basketball too. But everyone's stuffed by the end of the night with all that Thanksgiving goodness.
Yeah, I mean, compared to that, my family does not own a restaurant. However, we just invite some people over. Because I've started to get more into football. Me and my dad we're gonna be watching some Thanksgiving football.
That's great, man. I'm excited. Well, let's get into it. So first, I want to talk about the big news of the week. Unfortunately, my favorite quarterback in the league and my fantasy quarterback will no longer be playing in the NFL for the rest of this year. Joe Burrow is out. Joe No Mo. I think that's the headline we said. It's kind of a weird situation. The Bengals posted a video of him walking into the stadium. He had a cast or some type of splint on his wrist when he came in. But then he hurt his wrist after throwing a touchdown pass. They said he's going to be out for the season. Their head coach, Zach Taylor, said that the splint he was wearing walking in had nothing to do with his injury. But after that, the Cincinnati Bengals removed all videos off of their social media of him walking into the stadium with the splint. So I think there's a fine coming to the Cincinnati Bengals. There's definitely some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, that's very interesting that they're gonna get fined. I'm just like,
it's for mishandling the injury and not reporting it.
Oh, okay, yeah. I see. That explains it more. But yeah, the Bengals is just their star is out, and it's gonna be another disappointing season, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, it sucks. But next, speaking of quarterbacks and sucks, let's go to Zach Wilson of the Jets.
Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I think you and every Jets fan just reacted the exact same way when I said his name. You go ahead. You tell me. You tell me what you want to say about Zach.
How do you go from Aaron Rodgers' replacement to now being number 3 on the depth chart?
No, that's crazy to me. So now Tim Boyle is going to be the starter this upcoming Sunday. Or maybe it's Friday, against Miami. And Trevor Siemian is the number 2. Zach Wilson went from the number 1 to now he's all the way down at 3. I don't even know I think they said he's still going to dress for the game. But, I mean, if you're number 3, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think he's on his way out of the Jets organization?
I think so. And especially if Mr. Rodgers is going to be coming back, he's not seeing the field ever again.
No, definitely not. Maybe he'll have a career somewhere else as a backup, or who knows, but he definitely has not shown the pick that they used on him, he's not shown that he is worthy of that pick yet. I believe, what was he, like 1, 2, or 3? He was top 5 pick, but
Yeah.
he's been looking like a 7th round pick, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think if he wants to have a career, it's going to be outside the Jets.
Yeah, his decision making has just been atrocious. Next, I want to talk about a team who, last year they were up and coming, they were playing good, and this week they actually showed a little bit of, I guess, humanity or some realism. They had a tough game. They barely scraped it out against the Bears. They won on a last-minute, I believe, interception or pick six. I can't remember exactly. But the Lions, the Detroit Lions, do you think they're, if not a Super Bowl contender, at least like a solid playoff contender? They've got a winning record, so, I believe they might win the division. They're making the playoffs, but do you think they could make a Super Bowl push?
Anything can happen. I feel like in the NFL, it's very much possible because the fate of a team all comes down to like one possession.
Exactly.
And yeah, we'll see what happens with the Lions, but I think they could definitely make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, they've got a great run game. The Jahmyr Gibbs, the rookie out of Alabama, and they've got David Montgomery, who's just, we said he came back last week and he just looked like he hadn't missed a beat. And, they've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got Sam Laporta. So they've got some weapons, and their defense can be a little shaky at times. But as long as Jared Goff doesn't, make any bad decisions, I think they have a pretty good chance at doing something.
I actually wanted to say something about Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah.
Fun fact, me and him actually were in the same high school at
No
the
way.
same time. Yeah, I used to see him in high school football. And, it was he just looked like one of the best players on that field.
Right.
So I feel like if the Lions use him right, sky's the limit.
Yeah, no, he's a great player. I remember he went to USC. I remember I was at ASU for a year. I saw him just absolutely torch us, just carve us up. It was, I became an Amon-Ra St. Brown fan that day. So it was a great day to see him. Next thing to talk about, I want to talk about the Broncos. All of a sudden, they're having this little magical turnaround. Maybe they're making a playoff push, too. They've won now, I believe it's 3 in a row. And they beat some pretty big-name teams. They beat the Chiefs. Last week, they beat the Bills. And now this week, they beat the Vikings. I don't know. The whole offense is looking great. Russell Wilson's looking good. He's cooking.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Let's ride. I want to say shout out to Cortland Sutton. 2 weeks in a row making some big-time plays for this offense. He's looking like a number one receiver. He's looking like the guy on the team.
Yeah, he definitely is.
Now, some more bad news. If you're an LA fan, we're talking about the other team in LA, the Chargers. Man, they are still bad. And I think Brandon Staley's job has to be on the line at this point. A guy who is known as a defensive-minded coach. He comes in, they have this great defense, but they can't stop anyone from putting points on the board. And they've got an offense. I mean, if you can score anywhere from 24 to 30 points a game, I feel like you should be able to win some NFL games, but they just keep getting outscored at the end of the day. I think his job's in jeopardy. I think he's out at the end of the season.
Yeah, I feel like...
if they don't do anything.
Yeah. Defensive-minded coaches in the NFL normally don't really do that well.
Unless you're Bill Belichick.
Yes, Bill Belichick. Well, that's Belichick.
That's Bill Belichick.
Yeah, he's had like so much like great talent. You got Gronk and Tom Brady.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, I feel like you're definitely right about Mr. Staley. His job being he's gonna lose his job.
Yeah, I think so too. Speaking of losing jobs, it was announced that Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator for the Steelers, was fired and relieved of his duties this week. The Steelers' offense has been terrible. They're the only team in the NFL with a winning record, I think they said like in history, that has won this many games this far into the season, and they have been outscored and outgained. Or not outscored, but they've been outgained in every single game they've played. They're pretty much a defensive team, which is crazy because another team where they got some great weapons and their defense is stacked. They've always had a great defense. But what's really important about this is the first time the Steelers have fired a coach in mid-season since 1941.
Wow. That's a very long time. Yeah, no, I've always seen on like, social media, their comments, all of them saying fire Matt Canada.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all of them are just they're thinking to themselves, I used to pray for times like this.
Yeah, exactly.
They're ecstatic, they're happy. So we'll see what happens with the Steelers.
Yeah. Some other news. Going back to the Broncos, their safety, Kareem Jackson, will be suspended for a second time this season, citing unnecessary roughness and penalties such as that. I don't know if it's the guy's lowering his head down too low and he's making a lot of head contact, like targeting and stuff like that. But if you're Kareem Jackson, I don't know what you do to fix maybe your technique or something like that, because obviously you've been playing a key role in your team's wins lately, so...
Honestly, if you didn't say the name Kareem Jackson and you just mentioned that player and we weren't even talking about football, I would have thought you were talking about Draymond Green.
Draymond Green, yeah.
Plays an important role on his team, and he's just very rough, unnecessarily rough.
Yeah, it sucks. I'm not really sure how you fix that. I'm assuming it's just your technique, but obviously the team needs him, so hopefully they can fix whatever that situation is and he can get back onto the field. But it is another 4-game suspension, so he will now have missed, I believe, 8 games this season after he serves this suspension. If you watched Monday Night Football, it was the big Super Bowl rematch. It's Taylor Swift's favorite team, the Chiefs, playing against the Eagles, the Kelsey Bros against each other. I thought it was a pretty great game. It was close. It came down to the wire. I feel like the Chiefs had a lot of opportunities to win the game. Travis Kelsey had that fumble in the red zone, but I hate to blame someone, but I'm going to blame Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I believe there was 2 minutes left to go. He was wide open down the field. Mahomes threw a bomb, an absolute missile across the field to him. There was no one around him. He was wide open. He was just about to cross the end zone to score the touchdown, and the ball landed right in his hands, and he dropped it. It went right through his hands. This is unfortunate. This is kind of the story of the Chiefs all season long. Their receivers, unless your name's Travis Kelsey, cannot catch the ball. They're leading the league in drops right now. I believe they have 26.
Jeez.
That's insane. Someone needs to get Pat Mahomes some help, I feel like.
How many games are we into the season?
We're like 11 games into the season.
Yeah, 26 is ridiculous.
26 is ridiculous. That's, 2 drops a game?
Yeah, pretty much. And
yeah.
I wanted to go back to Travis Kelsey, fumbling the ball, and it's like, geez, man. I look at Travis Kelsey, and it's sometimes I feel like, wow, people are really high on him, but he makes mistakes like this, and I'm just thinking like, really?
Yeah, it's tough because, he had a great game. He had a touchdown. I mean, he's, at this point, really the only guy, offensive weapon on that team that can catch a ball. He doesn't seem to have many drops. Maybe, I think this is his one fumble during the season. Maybe, I thought he played pretty good, but, Taylor wasn't at the game. They're saying that when Taylor comes to the games this year, he's averaging more yards, more catches. He's just playing better.
Sounds like a basketball player that only plays good when there are certain women.
Jordan Poole? You talking about Jordan Poole?
Yes, I'm talking about Jordan
Poole.
Oh,
yeah, we'll get into some Jordan Poole when we get to the basketball segment, of course. Now, in some shocking news, and I'm absolutely shocked by this. This guy is a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro, an amazing player. Whoever picks this guy up, they're going to be very lucky. I hope he gets to a championship caliber team. He's that type of player. He can make an immediate impact. The Colts released star linebacker Shaq Leonard. And what's crazy about this, the day he got released, what a guy. He was going around the neighborhood handing out turkeys to those less fortunate. Props to him. I'll give him a little round of applause, Shaq Leonard, what a great guy. But insane that maybe they just wanted him to go to a better place, better team, but that's insane to me because he's such a great player.
Yeah, I feel like on one hand, yes, you're right. I feel like they did want him to go to a better team.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, he's your best player. Like,
yeah.
Why would you do that? Where do
Maybe
you think,
trade him or something?
Exactly, like get something back for him.
Yeah.
But where do you think he should go?
I don't know. I'm not sure exactly who's linebacker needy when you think of all the contenders right now. The only team I could think of, if we want to talk about improving defenses, maybe he should go to the Chargers. They could definitely use a linebacker for sure. The Ravens are stacked in the linebacker room. Honestly, what could be interesting is I know the Eagles are stacked at linebacker as well. They have Nakobe Dean and Nolan Smith, both of the Georgia boys, but I believe they're both injured, not getting a lot of consistent playing time. So maybe he goes over to Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. They would love Shaq Leonard over there. That would be crazy.
I'm just going to say this real quick. I think he should go to the Rams, but maybe it's because I'm a Rams
fan. We're a little biased.
And just 2 words to convince him. Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I think if you have Aaron Donald on your team, it makes your life a little bit easier.
Exactly.
I want to talk about C.J. Stroud. He had a couple interceptions this week, but they still put out a win. Do you think C.J. Stroud is elite? He's a rookie quarterback, but I think he's elite already.
Yeah, he's definitely elite already.
Yeah.
And I feel like it kind of reminds me, I'm not entirely sure, like I haven't compared the stats between the two, but it kind of feels like when Joe Burrow was a rookie.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
he was already starting off strong, like showing stardom like very, very early.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's the same case with Stroud.
It's crazy because I don't think anyone really expected anything special from the Texans this year. So props to C.J. Stroud. Some bad news if you're a Saints fan. Michael Thomas, you got to feel for the guy. He got paid, but ever since he got paid, he's been injury riddled. He's going back on the IR. Unfortunate for the Saints. And then some good news. The Rams beat the Seahawks this week.
Whose house?
Rams house.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great game. NFC matchups are great. When it comes to the Super Bowl at the end of the year, I think the NFC is going to take it. I'm not sure who it's going to be, but I think it's definitely going to be an NFC team.
Yeah.
Unless the Chiefs make it again and somehow win, I think it's going to be an NFC team.
If the Seahawks do not make the playoffs, just know it's because the Rams swept them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's get into some basketball. I think I'll say this one just real quick off the top. Some weird things kind of going on in college hoops. LSU women's basketball, Angel Reese has now missed her second game. There's no reason for her absence. Their head coach hasn't really said anything. She's keeping it very quiet. Well, props to her. She cares about her players' mental health and their safety. She said she's not going to say anything. All she's been saying is that Angel did not dress tonight, but she is still a part of this team, and we love her, and we're supporting her. So hopefully Angel Reese comes back to the national championship team. She is a key part to that team. I don't know. They won the other night without her, but I don't know if they can go all the way to the chip again without Angel Reese.
Yeah, no, Angel Reese is definitely like one of the most, if not the most important part to their team.
Yeah.
But it's still really weird, very strange that there's no reason.
Yeah, obviously there's something going on, so we hope everything's okay with Angel Reese, and we hope she returns to the court soon so she can ball out.
Yeah.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up going on to the NBA. Stephen Curry has returned, and he just dropped 32 against the Rockets.
I think if I'm anyone on the Warriors, I'm happy. I'm screaming, tears of joy. Your golden child, the best player on your team, is back.
Yeah, and hopefully he can replace the burden from Klay Thompson, and he can carry the offense again. But frankly, still, Steph Curry still needs a little bit more help.
Yeah, Draymond's still out. Klay Thompson's been kind of struggling this year. I believe against the Rockets, when Curry returned, he had his highest scoring game of the season, and I think he scored 20.
Yeah, he dropped 20, and I saw this quote from him where he's like, I've dropped more in a quarter than I did tonight. So I think he's starting to accept the fact that he's not the same Klay Thompson. Yeah. I know it's just one game, but maybe he just takes like 20 shots the next game and like scores 5 and he still thinks he's got it. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know with Klay because, he drops 20 and that's a season high, but I'm sure by like game 65 this season, we'll have like another 40-piece Klay Thompson game under his belt. You never know. He's a little bit older, but he could say that about anyone. So I think it probably takes him a little bit more time to get his feet under him. He's not the same guy, but, I love Klay. He's a sharpshooter. He always comes up in clutch moments, and you never know when he's ready to tick and explode.
Exactly. Well, speaking of the Rockets, maybe let's talk a little bit about Alperen Sengun.
Alperen Sengun. Man, this guy is crazy. I want to call him Baby Jokic.
That's an interesting description of him.
No, he's great. They've got a great team around him. They were comparing him and Jokic's stats from when they were 21. So I think it's Alperen Sengun right now, and then Jokic, a couple years ago. Alperen Sengun is averaging more points, more rebounds, and I think just about the same amount of assists, which is kind of crazy to think. I think he's a really great player. I think he's definitely a cornerstone of their team.
Sky's the limit for Sengun. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me before the show started you have a bit of a take that you wanted to run by me.
Yeah, I don't know how hot this take is. We kind of delved into it last week for sure. Man, there's been some amazing point guard play in the East this year. I think my pick for best point guard in the East has to be Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay.
What he's done on the Pacers since being traded there, he's been going crazy. I mean, he's averaging, I think, a double-double right now. His last, 10 games, he's been averaging, 32, 33 points, and he's averaging double-digit numbers in assists as well. He's getting everyone, involved in the game, and he's scoring buckets. I'm really excited for the Pacers for not this season, but, for their future as well.
Honestly, that's not that hot of a take, considering I also have him as the best point guard in the East.
Yeah.
However, I think a very, very close number 2 is LaMelo Ball.
Oh, man.
Just because this man has been, for the past 7 games, he's been flirting with triple doubles.
Yes.
Just 30 plus points a game. Like I said, near triple doubles. It's just unfortunate that he has no help on the Hornets, even with Miles Bridges coming back in. Although I don't really like him as a person, but as a player, he is kind of someone they need, like another scorer. It's still not enough to beat teams like the Knicks and the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what that team is missing, to be honest with you. They've got LaMelo, who's great. They're maybe a true big man. They've been kind of flirting around with some different guys, but everyone's been in and out of the lineup. Gordon Hayward at, the 3. You said Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, and now at center, I believe Mark Williams is playing center for them.
Yes.
So, they're still a young team. They're still, I believe, trying to find the right pieces, but I think they need to make a big move to get a big name, or maybe draft someone. Was it Brandon Miller's finally? Brandon Miller's been playing really good this season. He's been coming off the bench.
Good, yeah.
Maybe they move some pieces around for a better big man, or maybe a 2 guard. I'm not really sure.
Well, speaking of 2 guards, I wanted to bring up Zach LaVine trade rumors, and I actually wanted to go back to the Hornets because they were people have been talking about him going to the Hornets.
Interesting.
And I thought to myself, well, yes, offensively he would be a very good fit for that team.
Yes.
That backcourt defense would just be terrible.
No, yeah, that's definitely not a. They were talking about him going to the Heat too. I saw that, and same thing. Heat culture is they're so defensive minded, especially right now. Everyone on that team, besides maybe Tyler Hero, is trying to stop the other player, and Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler are just putting the ball in the basket. It's great, but
yeah, I also heard about the Lakers being in these trade rumors, and I wanted to take my little rant. I'm going solo on this part.
Let's go. I'm ready.
The Lakers should absolutely not trade for Zach LaVine, and let me tell you why.
Ooh.
D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, the guy they drafted this year, his name's Jalen Hood-Schifino. Those 3 guys would be in that trade as well as 2 first-round picks or something like that. Zach LaVine is not the kind of guy we need. I think we are still great as the team we are right now. Because Zach LaVine, what does he provide? 20 points a game? That's it? He's not that much better of a defender than D'Angelo Russell. He can't guard bigger bodies like Rui Hachimura. And frankly, we're better off with the depth that we have right now. I don't know. I just feel like us Laker fans are exaggerating right now. We're overreacting this early into the season. Yes, we have dropped some games, like the time we lost by 30 to the Rockets, as well as other games, but I feel like we should still give this team more games before we make a decision on trades and things like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. You still got a lot of time. I don't think the Bulls are going to necessarily move anyone right now. It'd be interesting to see. It'll probably be another move close to the trade deadline, but it's interesting to see where he goes. I've heard the Kings. I've heard also the Sixers.
I actually do think the Kings would be a good fit for him, just because it's Kevin Huerter is all right. He's solid, but I feel like they need another closer.
Oh, man, that's crazy. I love Kevin Huerter, a.k.a. Kayvon Huerter, a.k.a. Red Velvet, former Atlanta Hawk. Last year, he shot 50% from 3. I can't take the disrespect on my man, Red Velvet.
Hey, I'm no disrespect to him. Hey, I'm not disrespecting him at all. I just think they need another scorer. The Kings need another scorer.
No, I feel you. I agree with you. I don't know about the Lakers. Maybe later in the year they reassess. I feel like if they're not doing good, I think they will pull the trigger on a trade like that.
Yeah.
I personally think just comparing D'Lo to Zach LaVine, I would take Zach LaVine any day. I think he provides so much more offensively. Not that there's things that D'Lo can't do, maybe dunk the ball.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine's insane with dunking, but I think he can score just as many points and, be a closer.
He's 100% the better player. I just think
You'd give up too many assets.
You're giving up way too much, especially like D'Lo has come far as a player. He's not just like like a 50 points per game scorer. Like the past few games, he's been really like upping his like offensive game in terms of like passing. You know, there was a stint where it was like 3-4 games where like he had like a bunch of assists and like less than 10 turnovers. So like he's been taking really good care of the ball. And like you said, yes, Zach LaVine is a closer. I just don't think we need that right now, considering we have LeBron James.
No, I agree with you. So I think we covered all the bases on that one. It'll be interesting to see where Zach LaVine goes. Definitely not the Lakers.
Yeah.
According to Solo. I want to talk about. I think we should just go talk about the other team in LA real quick, the Clippers. I think things are starting to look a little different now. I think maybe they're starting to gel. They're now 2-0, or they're on a 2-game win streak with James Harden.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook elected to come off the bench, and it's been working wonders for him.
It has.
Yeah, I feel like him coming off the bench does work for them, but still, personally, I think James Harden should have been the one coming off the bench, just because it's like Russell Westbrook fits better in the starting lineup. I will say this about the Clippers, though. I have noticed that Terrence Mann has kind of fallen off.
Yeah, I think it might be a mental thing with him. I think he put up like all zeros across the board the other night.
Yeah.
Which it's tough because he's a great player. He's one of those hustle guys. He brings energy to the floor. But I think trading for James Harden, initially he thought, obviously he got benched right away, and then now he's back in the starting lineup. Basketball's such a mental thing. Hopefully it's not really it's just a mental block that he can get over soon.
Yeah, just in an inconsistent role, but he'll probably bounce back. I wanted to bring up going back to Jordan Poole. The Wizards don't view him as a cornerstone, and they're considering moving him to the on the deadline.
That is really interesting. I mean, we talked about earlier about playing in front of people that pretty girls, I guess, that come into the crowd, and he's known for going crazy when there's a pretty girl and sitting courtside.
Travis Kelce goes off whenever Taylor Swift is there.
Yeah, I believe the other day it was Ruby Rose that was courtside, and Jordan Poole only put up 8 points. Maybe this is the reason why they want to trade him. I guess it's the rumor, but they're like, we planted a pretty girl courtside, and he couldn't go crazy.
I'll tell you one thing. Not only that, I remember Ruby Rose posting on her Twitters that she was betting on Jordan Poole to score over 20 points, and he couldn't even score 10. Like.
Going back to mental things, maybe he got a little nervous that he couldn't handle the pressure.
And yet he went off whenever Zendaya watched him. Come on.
I don't know. We'll see. I think it's interesting if they do move him, since I would say they gave up pretty decent bit to go into this rebuilding phase.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, where do the Wizards go from here?
Down. I don't know how much
more down can they go?
It's tough because, they have two guys. Kyle Kuzma, who's, again, he's a great scorer. Same with Jordan Poole, though, but I don't think they're number one guys. I don't think they're guys I don't think they're number one options on a championship team, if that's a better way to put it.
Or even a playoff team, for that matter.
Yeah. They're both ball hogs. I hate to say it, but they're ball hogs. They think they're great. I'm not knocking them. They are great players, but I don't think they're the number one guys.
Definitely not. And I feel like some of the rookies that they drafted, Denny Avdia, there's a guy they drafted this year, I think his name's Koulibaly, who's like a really good defender.
Bilal Koulibaly.
Bilal, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been like, he doesn't really get that many minutes.
Yeah.
It's sad to see because like, rookies like that, you got to build their confidence up. You want them to play more.
They need playing time.
Especially on a team like this.
Yeah, I'm a total believer in trial by fire. So throw the guy in, let him learn from his mistakes, especially if you go to a guy like Scoot Henderson. I guess he hasn't been getting playing time, but he's got to learn. So.
And then there's Asar Thompson, who's been like the lockdown defender. He hasn't been shooting well, but hey, he'll get there. He'll
fill the stat sheet up in other ways until he can figure out how to put that ball in the hoop. All right, well, we've only got 30 seconds left before the end of our show, so I think it's time for a Scotty Scorchin' Roundup. Would you agree?
Of course.
All right, so we'll go through a couple things really quick. Joe Burrow out for the season.
Joe No
Mo. Zach Wilson is now number 3 on the depth chart. Man, do Jets fans miss Aaron Rodgers. CJ Stroud is very elite. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? I think it's an NFC team. Angel Reese, where are you? We miss you. Underdogs of the year. Let's go Alperen Sengun. He's insane. Best point guards in the East. Tyrese Halliburton. Maybe LaMelo. Who knows? And Jordan Poole. Bye-bye. Where you going?
Yeah.
Adios.
Sayonara. Like, au revoir.
Yeah, au revoir. And Zach LaVine on the move.
Let's see what happens with him.
Well, that's it for us here at Crunch Time with Mac and Solo, brought to you by KUCR Sports. Hope you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We'll see you guys next week. Signing off, I am Mac.
I am Solo. We're bidding y'all adios.